I've been reading a series of books recently, which is I just get yeah. I've been reading this books recently. Start again, shall we? Okay. I've been reading a series of books recently, starting with I Kissed Dating Goodbye, and the next book in the series is Boy Meets Girl, and these books are by Joshua Harris. I know I've read all of I Kissed Dating Goodbye, but I've not read quite all of Boy Meets Girl at this stage. But there is a few points that I would like to make about the books. In his books, Joshua Harris basically talks about his opinions on dating and relationships. And basically he starts his first book by saying that his opinion is that he used to be someone who dated people, but then he decided to just stop dating entirely because he wasn't really ready for a relationship. He was just sort of dating just for the fun of it, I guess. And he started to see that as sort of leading people on for a relationship he wasn't actually ready for. Which I think is that's a good point. If you're not ready for a relationship, then you should take into account that you are affecting another person by being in a relationship with them, knowing that you're not ready for it. But there was a few things within his book that I found offensive, I guess, and I'm not sure why. In a book about his views on dating, why he had to say things about gay people or non-Christians, because I don't see what that had to do with his point at all, really. It seemed like he's mentioning those things for the sake of it. It's just him being judgmental, I guess. But one thing I wanted to mention to start with was something I didn't understand in one of the points he made, which is on page 62. He says, if we witness poisoning the boyfriend or girlfriend who pressures a partner into sex, you've heard the line, if you loved me, you'd do it. In other words, I don't care about your convictions or how this could damage you. I care about my needs. Which is, I guess, everyone knows it. It's bad to be pressured into things. I can agree with that. But on the next page, he says that Christ taught that love is not for the fulfillment of self, but for the glory of God. True love is selfless. He did not say, if you love me, you will feel warm, cascading sensations of religious emotion. Instead, he told us, if you love me, you will obey what I command. True love always expresses itself in obedience to God. And I don't understand that point, because if you love me, you will obey what I command sounds very similar to if you loved me, you'd do it. So it just sounds like, well, I know this is a point that it doesn't really matter very much, but to me it sounds like they just sound really similar. It just sounds like God is pressuring people into doing what he's like, well, if you loved me, you'd do what I say. You'd obey my commands, and that it just sounds very similar to, well, if you'd love me, you'd do it. So I didn't understand. I just found that funny. I guess that's probably why I highlighted it. I just found it amusing that if a human says to you, if you'd love me, you'd do what I say, then you're supposed to go, no thanks. But if God says to you, if you loved me, you'd do as I command, then you're supposed to go, yeah, alright then. Yep. Yeah, I just don't understand that. But that's just a small point, really. It doesn't really matter very much. But we'll move on to some things I found offensive. Anyway, on page 93, for instance, he says that many non-Christians view sex as a bodily function on the level of scratching another person's back. They engage in sex whenever and with whomever they want. They view kissing, holding, fondling as no big deal. While we may hold higher standards than our pagan neighbours, I'm afraid we too have lost sight of deeper, significant sexual intimacy. I just find it offensive that he thinks that pagans or non-Christians don't care about sex and just sort of do whatever with whoever and just it is whatever stuff. It seems like it doesn't fit in with it wasn't a point he needed to make. His book is just about how he's dating and his opinions on dating. So why would he even need to bring up religiously whether or not Christians are higher standards than non-Christians? Why is that even a relevant point? And it's really it's kind of ignorant, I guess, to presume that non-Christians have low standards and do whatever with whoever. Yeah, I don't know, it makes it sound like non-Christians are just running the streets raping people and it's just, I don't know. But anyway, move on to parental involvement, and he says that I've spent the last several years learning to be open-minded and honest with my parents about my romantic interests. And as I've done this, I've made an incredible discovery. My mum and dad are on my side. So he's decided, within dating, you should inform your parents about what you're doing, and they're on your side and stuff like that. But then he goes back to being judgmental and says, "Oh, I realise that some people just don't have this option to involve their parents. Maybe your parents are divorced or non-Christians or just completely uninterested." Again, why would you make that? Why was that judgment necessary towards his book at all? I get his point is, when you're dating, involve your parents. And then he says, "Oh, except if they're non-Christians, don't do that." And I think, well, it's just, why? Well, even if this just doesn't make sense that he would. It's just making a judgment for the sake of making it a judgment, I guess. It's just him saying, "Oh, pesky non-Christians." I feel like even if I was a religious person, even if I was seriously religious, the people who raised you are still the people who raised you and care about you. And if you're going to say that, parents care about you and should be involved, then surely that's regardless of religion. They want to be involved or whatever in your life, and they're on your side. The point should stop there. It shouldn't be unless they're a different religion than you, in which case stop. Then another thing I found ironic to this was that on page 152 he says, "You don't have to prove someone wrong to do what you know is right." So I thought, why is he being judgmental in his book then? about non-Christians. Why not just set his example, and then don't even try and prove anyone else wrong or anything like that. Just set your example, and then just leave it at that. Yeah. It's like on 214, he said, the girls I talk to, Christian and non-Christian alike, agree. And I thought, well, if they agree, why differentiate that they're Christian and non-Christian? Why not just leave it at the girls I spoke to, full stop? Or, make your point, and don't even mention whether or not they're Christian. Just, they're the girls you spoke to. Don't even need to know what religion they were. But anyway, yeah, that was just some of the things I found offensive, were that he seems to it just seems to be for the sake of it that he brings up non-Christians. I understand that he's a Christian, and the parts where he brings up biblical references and stuff, and I think you can learn lessons from things that are a different religion from you, even if you're not that religion. But I don't understand the specifically targeting non-Christians about things and saying don't talk to non-Christian parents and stuff like that. It just seems to be for the sake of it at those times. One of the things I found good about the book was he made a list of a list of things about what he thought would be good for a relationship. There's number 1, build trust. Number 2, begin building an intimate relationship. Talk about many subjects: feelings, concerns, wisdom, hopes, dreams. Number 3, try and understand each other. Number 4, try and understand each other's values and what you dislike. Number 5, give each other things like letters or phone calls or flowers, invest in each other. And number 6, spend time with each other, but try and spend time as well with each other's families and things like that. And I thought those were, I guess, good ideas towards a relationship, to discuss a wide range of subjects, and to try and become involved in each other's lives and things like that. That just seems like a common sense list of things to do. That it sounds like common sense, but in relationships quite a lot of the time I think people sort of they get into sort of like I imagine in relationships it's easy to fall into sort of a schedule and stop talking about a range of subjects and giving each other things and changing things up. It's easy to just talk about day-to-day things and just I don't know, it just seemed like a good list of things to just try and do, try and get to know each other and try and build trust, rather than just spend, I don't know, it just seemed like a good list. But yeah, I've started reading Boy Meets Girl anyway. There was this book, Boy Meets Girl, is a lot less judgmental, I find. It's got lots of stories about times that his friends have started relationships and it's worked and things like that. There was one line where it seemed a bit more judgmental again, where it said, if you look around at examples of Christian relationships, it should be, you're likely to get very mixed messages. On one hand, that you'll meet Christian couples dating just like non-Christian couples. These relationships are selfish, marked with jealousy, and often pushing boundaries of purity. And I feel like he's quite judgmental towards non-Christian dating, as he calls it, as if that's a different thing. It's not a different thing. Dating is dating. Yeah, but it just seems very judgmental to say that non-Christians are jealous and pushing and stuff like that. It just seems, he just seems judgmental, I guess, in those circumstances. But those are only a small amount of the book, obviously. Most of the book, he's talking about his his opinions on dating and relationships, and I found it very interesting hearing his opinions on dating and relationships, I think, as well. For example, Joshua Harris, in the end, decided to he was decided to wait till marriage, not just for sex, but he also decided to not kiss his partner until their wedding, which I found a fascinating idea, really, because that, I suppose when someone says that they're waiting till marriage for sex, it sounds like they're taking things slow, doesn't it? Because they're with someone, but they're not going to do anything until they get married. But if you decided not to kiss your partner until you get married as well, then I imagine the day you get married would be really, really pressurized. I mean, the day you get married, you'd then have your first kiss in front of all your family and friends, and then that night, just a few hours after your first kiss, you'd be attempting your first sex. That just seems like loads of pressure to me. That seems like really fast, going from kissing to sex, with all your friends and family knowing, all on the same day. That day just seems like a whole load of rushing and pressure. I don't think I'd be able to do that personally. I don't know. I don't think I would. Just everything on one day. It's like, ooh. That sounds like loads of pressure. It occurs to me that it sounds like taking things slow to wait till marriage. But if you leave everything until marriage, then I guess it sort of sounds like deferring a one-night stand, but with commitment. It's just everything at once, with everyone knowing. It does sound like a lot of pressure, personally. I mean, yeah, but that just sounds like loads and loads of pressure to me. I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but I don't know. I guess, to me, I would want several stages in between, I guess, not just on such and such a day we've planned to do everything. Let's get married and do everything on that day. It's like, wow, that's amazing. It's a really interesting idea, because it means that your first sexual contact ever with this person, or maybe ever in total, would be in front of your friends and family. and then followed by your friends and family all knowing that you're going to have sex that night. And just everything at once. That sounds like loads of pressure. Anyway, but that's his choice, and it worked out for him, I guess. I imagine so. That's about it. I suppose one thing I'd like to do now is I'll put a link to an article that's 7 reasons why atheists would wait till marriage for sex. Because I think that Josh was really judgmental about non-Christians, and I just want to make the point really clear that not only do non-Christians also have meaningful relationships, but sometimes they do in fact wait till marriage as well. You know, everyone's got personal choices and stuff like that, and it's not just based on religion. Everyone makes their own choices. I would also like to say that this video isn't about my opinions on waiting or my religion. It's just about the book, Chris.